Good evening, everyone. I want to welcome you out and I want to thank you so much for coming out to the Black Biz Group Money Moves event. Now, tonight is our first night that we're doing this event, and this is something that we're going to keep up. Okay, so I just want to let you know this. This tonight is going to be an exploratory conversation about getting the money that we deserve. And so when we're talking about being Black businesses, this is one of the areas that we always seem to be lacking in, and we can always use more money. So I want to welcome you out. I'm Chisa Pennix-Brown, and I am the founder of the Black Biz Group. I started this group a little bit earlier this year, around August, because I found that there was a surge of people who wanted to support Black businesses. And so when I look at some of the things that to me were interesting, I saw everybody was saying, well, let's spend with Black businesses. People started creating a whole bunch of lists of Black businesses, and that was great. But what I found was it's not just that your name is on a list, it's that your name is on a list, people know who you are, and that if you are a Black business, that you know how to stay in business. So this was a thing that I felt like was important to me. And so when I decided to start the Black Biz Group, it was simply to just say, let's have some type of online platform to be able to share Black businesses. And in addition to that, to be able to have education for them, because I felt like that was a thing that we were missing. Now, me individually, I'll get into that a little bit later, but Money Moves today, the reason we started with this is because money is the foundation of the things that we do when we talk about business, right? And so I found somebody who is amazing, and she knows her thing when she is talking about business. And so this is Ms. La-Tasha Gaddy of Infinity Bridges. And so she is going to be the person that we ask the questions tonight, so that this way we know what we need to do to move into 2021, because we have right now literally 3 months. Tomorrow is October 1st. So basically, when you look at this, around 90 days in order to be able to get our thing together before the new year hits. And let's not forget, we still have COVID. Let's not forget that we still have a presidential election to go through. Let's not forget that it's going to be like, right, flu season. Let's not forget it might snow, depending on what's going on and where you're at. So we have a lot of things that are coming towards us. And so we wanted to come out and bring you some good news so that this way your Black business could stay in business and be successful and be profitable. So thank you guys so much for coming out. Now, if you can, inside of our question section is where we want you to go ahead and ask questions. And you can feel free to post questions throughout. And as the conversation is flowing, if there's something that needs to be asked, I'll go ahead and ask Tasha the question that you typed in, so that this way we can keep the conversation flowing, because we want you to feel like you're a part of this, right? So I know a lot of times when people do these things, they want to leave the questions to the end, but we're going to go ahead and we'll just try to interject questions as we go along, okay? Now, let me say this, if you have any issues hearing tonight, so if you can't hear me, you may need to go out of the system and come back in, because it's usually your connection that's not connecting, and then you can come back in. Also, if you need to leave early, don't worry about that, because this is going to be recorded and we'll be putting it up on both of our social media platforms. So this will enable you to be able to come back and watch those little tidbits if you missed anything. And if you feel like you just need a refresher because maybe we gave out a resource and you want to go back, or you want to share it, then it'll also be on the social media platforms as well. So with this evening, let's jump over. With this evening, our sponsors are the Access Center for Equity and Success, and they are a company that is based in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and what they do is help minority businesses that are looking to get contracts to match that up. They have a wonderful contract matching platform, and they also help you with your minority certification. Now, my company is Lady Bizness, and so if you see Lady Bizness and Chisa Pennix-Brown, that's me / my company, and I'm North Carolina's #1 small business facilitator. I help people show up and show out online every day, so that this way they can make sure that they can have successful businesses. Our partners for this evening is Chandra Gore Consultant, and she helped us with our PR for this event, so we definitely appreciate that. And then this is also being recorded courtesy of PodBiz Studios, so we wanted to let you know that. Now that we've got through that part, if you are a Black-owned business, I want you to take the time to go to theblackbizgroup.com and list your Black business. It doesn't cost you anything to list it, and then we'll be going ahead and posting it on our social media platforms so we can let people know about your Black business. Now, without further ado, I get to bring in La-Tasha Gaddy. So La-Tasha, I need you to literally give it to the people and tell them who you are and what you do.
Well, thank you, Chisa Pennix-Brown and Lady Biz. I just want to say thank you for the invitation and thank you all for just being here. So who am I? I am a mompreneur. I am a mother of two teenage entrepreneurs that I feel like I'm raising the next generation of entrepreneurs.
Yes.
In addition to that, I am a third generation entrepreneur. So my grandfather started off as an entrepreneur. He was the first used car salesman in our little county. So African American used car salesman at that. So when we talk about who am I, entrepreneurship is through all of that of who I am. In addition, I am a proud alum of North Carolina Central University with so Eagle Pride for
Come on,
anyone.
Eagles.
But and with a undergraduate degree in business finance and a master's in public administration. And I'm a lifelong learner. But most importantly, I am the person that likes to make sure that I connect the bridge to your wealth generation. So that's really who I am.
Yes, I love that. Did you hear that, y'all? She connects the bridge to your wealth generation. Now, let me tell you, you are probably going to get some quotables tonight, okay? Now, I know I'm going to have to go back and listen to this again because I know that we are going to drop some gems and I'm going to say some stuff and she's going to say some stuff that will definitely be something that you want to remember. Now, one of the things that I want you guys to think about with this particular presentation tonight is this is a conversation, remember? So I already have some questions that I plan on asking La-Tasha. And then again, don't forget that you can type into the question section. So Antoinette, I see that you've already typed into the question section, and we're going to come to your question a little bit later because she's asking something super specific. So I really love that. But she started her business this year, and we're going to come right back to your question a little bit later on. But number one, what would you say is one of the reasons that people do not have their finances together in order to make sure that their businesses, and this is the word everybody's using right now, can scale, right? And scale means to grow. But what's the biggest thing that you see? I know what I see, but I want to know what you think.
Well, first and foremost, one of the things that I see is people suffer in silence. People do not want to talk about money. People do not want to let anyone know that they're in trouble. So therefore, they can't get the right help or the right resources they need to be successful. So my first nugget, as she said, I'm gonna give a lot of tidbits and nuggets today, but that first nugget is gonna be don't suffer in silence. Don't feel embarrassed by where you are. Don't feel embarrassed about what's going on because guess what? Somebody somewhere can help you. And I'm gonna give just a really quick example. So I participate in a weekly minority business group, and on the call we're normally talking about what opportunities, what's happening as it relates to COVID. One of the business owners came up and was very vulnerable and shared that, and we just asked, how was she doing? And she actually shared that she was in some dire straits in reference to housing and needed some rent assistance. There was someone on that call that connected with her with someone that paid her arrears rent and
Okay.
could pay it up. So when I say don't suffer
Wow.
in financial silence, I mean literally don't suffer in financial silence. So that's my first
Wow.
kind of nugget. And the reason why is because there's somebody that can definitely help you get to the next level of where you need to be. And then once you let that go, then guess what? Then you can get your finances in order. Then you can make sure that your taxes are together. Then you can make sure that you're paying everyone correctly so that you can access the capital that you need. So when you stop suffering in financial silence, all the other doors open up.
Okay, and I love that. Now, let me tell you what I see, and then I definitely need your feedback. So let me just kind of give you a little background with La-Tasha. Her and I are subject matter experts. Each of us has our own skill set, and so we are in North Carolina. Now, in North Carolina, they have allocated funds which go through the Small Business Center Network, which allow us to be able to give 100% free confidential counseling to people that need it, people that are in business, people that are starting businesses. So we each have our own skill set. And she can tell you way more about the side as far as filing for everything, okay? Because that's her thing. Me, I'm more so the marketing and branding side and making sure that this way people can start their businesses and then looking at the things that they need to tweak, because there's always some systems that need to be put in place in order to make your business run more efficiently. So that's pretty much more so my skill set. But what I have seen, and I got so many questions, you know that I was so ready for this, is, and I said this to people don't have their paperwork together, which is why their paper can't work, okay?
Yes.
So when I say that, you don't have your paperwork together, which is why your paper can't work. So you didn't get the money that you needed to get that some other businesses were getting, because there wasn't paperwork that was in order to make sure that you could submit it to be able to even get the funding that you need. So you've dealt with people more so on that side. And I want you to just really kind of give a person an idea of, you know, because there may be another stimulus coming, there might be some more funding that's coming. Just give them an idea of the types of paperwork that in general they need to have together, even if they're going for a loan or if they're applying for a grant. What are some of the things they need to have together?
All right, great question. So first thing you need is your tax returns, business and personal tax returns. That is so key. And then very specifically for the business, you need to know really what is the financial status of the business, meaning your income statement, your cash flow statement, and your balance sheet. So these are three what we call financial statements that are essential for any business. So you need to know, and what that really shows is what money is coming in, what money is going out, and then what money is left over at the end of the month, the quarter, or year. But it will tell the story. I always like to say your numbers tell a financial story. And so you want to be able to know what that story is. Now, you can always say what really happened. So if COVID in your business shows a loss, that is still fine, because you can show why they, I mean, we are all, keep in mind, let me say this to everybody. This is a global pandemic. This is not something that is unique to a particular state, a particular region, a particular, you know, this is a global pandemic. There is not one business or entity that has not been affected in some way, shape, or form. Now, some people businesses have increased, some people businesses have decreased. However, there is still an effect that this crisis has had. So you've got to manage that the best way for your business, and not be not, and don't, you know, don't be ashamed of that, and don't say, well, oh, I didn't make a profit. Once again, if you can explain why and say, okay, you know, I had to close between March and June, and some businesses are still not open. So that is a direct correlation of why. So you can do what we call a financial explanation of whatever is happening within the business. Even if you lost money last year, you can still do what we call a financial explanation. So the statements that you're needing is, of course, tax returns, business and personal. Then what we call the business financial statements. So that's your balance sheet, income statement, and cash flow. The last one is what we call the personal financial statement. And that tells really personally what your assets are. So it will tell what you owe and who you owe it to, or what you own and who you owe it to. And so those are the paperwork that is required for the business. Now, I always like to kind of throw the bonus, and the bonus is a business canvas or a summary, executive summary of the business is also really key. But the financial paperwork is those documents that I just mentioned.
Okay. Now, if a person is saying, okay, I have some of this together, I need to get the rest of it, I always tell them to make sure that they have a physical copy and then that they also have it online. And I think that, to me, that's one thing that people seem to overlook, because you had this piece of paper somewhere and then you've lost it. So what are some of the things where you would say that a person could use so that this way they can put it online and they can be able to have it and access it whenever they need it?
Great question. So there's a number of ways. One, Google Drive. I love being able to save something on Google Drive. I don't even like to save it on my computer because if that computer crashes, or even if I'm not able to access that computer, right? If it's on Google Drive or some online or cloud-based platform, then you can be able to access it. An external hard drive or a jump drive. I have a couple of them, and I tell you, those are my lifelines because I can go to any computer or any device and then plug it in. And guess what? I can have my little information. So this is mine. It's like, this is my lifeline. But being able to have it there. Now, I am a fan of online accounting systems. So having a web-based or cloud-based accounting system. And once again, for the very same reason, if it's a software that's only on a particular computer, then everybody got to wait till you can access that particular computer. If it's a cloud-based, as long as you got the online login, then you can log in from anywhere as long as it's a secured site. So, so those are some of the platforms that I like. Now, I will tell you, in the financial world, I mean, everyone is familiar with QuickBooks, QuickBooks Online, but there's some other really great financial tools. So I actually use Wave Accounting, W-A-V-E. There's also FreshBooks Accounting. There's also Xero's, X-E-R-O Accounting. Zoho Books. These are all other type of accounting systems. And depending on your industry, there may be a specific accounting system for your industry. So for example, if you're a plumber, there's a whole list of software that integrates for plumbers. If you are in the childcare industry, there's a whole list of software for that. So you want to make sure that you have the right software and the right platform.
Okay, now I'm going to go with the question that Antoinette asked, because we kind of went into this direction of taxes. So what she said is she started her business this year. She's has a full-time position, so she's still working a day job. And so would you recommend that she does her taxes separate, or would it be beneficial to combine the business and the personal taxes? And I know that there's one thing that we don't have information. So Antoinette, I'm sure that La-Tasha will fill in on this, but this also is contingent upon the type of business that you have. If it's a sole proprietorship, a LLC, a corporation. So then that determines that, but I want her to give you some more information on that. So what do you think she should do?
Right. So I'm a fan of the side hustle, right? Because I feel like you should be able to build your business, build your brand during the side hustle. The question that I think I would pose back to you is, how is your side hustle structured? So that goes into what Chisa was saying. So typically you can start a business as a sole proprietor. And all you have to do typically is file your certificate of assumed name with your register of deeds, which is approximately $26, and make sure that the name is, that you're able to have access, have full rights to your name and all of those things. And then you're typically in business. And for a sole proprietor, the taxes do flow right into your personal or as a Schedule C. Okay. So that does flow right into your personal. Now, if you are a single member LLC or incorporated, whether it's a S or a C corp, which is what you would file with and so I'm gonna just say in North Carolina, but mostly across the country, it is typically either with your Secretary of State or your Department of Commerce office. North Carolina is within the Secretary of State's office, but you would then file that. For North Carolina, it's at $125. But if you're anywhere else, once again, you'll look to see what that cost would be. If you're filing that, the LLC is a Schedule K, which is its separate tax returns, but the profits then still is reported on your personal. So you got to keep that in mind. And then if you're incorporated, that is also another schedule. I think it's a Schedule 1023. I think it's the form number. But that is a separate tax return. But any profits or dividends that are distributed will flow back to your personal tax returns. So hopefully that's going to answer that question. And then you may have a follow-up.
Yep. She said awesome, thanks. And she is a sole proprietor. So for her, that would be definitely applicable. Now, we do have
Mhm.
another question from, I'm going to say Angela or either Angela, but it's two L's. So I'm going to think it's Angela. And she said, hi, Tasha, right? Or hey, Tasha.
Oh,
She
that's
has an
Angela then.
LLC, right? I'm trying to speak like, how I think people would speak. She has an LLC, but she was told that she could start a nonprofit under the LLC, and she wanted to know if that was true.
Typically, you want to keep that separate for North Carolina, and only because I do know she is in North Carolina. Then North Carolina also has a separate nonprofit registration status, and so I would say that it would be a separate entity
Yep.
rather than that LLC. And
Hmm.
then that nonprofit is what then goes after the 501c3 or whatever C status that you're looking for, which is the tax
Definitely.
advantage.
Definitely, because what you're doing when you file the nonprofit is it is its own business entity,
Yep.
because it then becomes essentially like a corporation. So you don't own a nonprofit, you have a board, and then that would be separate and it would have its own separate set of taxes. And she said to tell you, Beyonce, AKA Tasha, that it's me, so that you would know who it was.
Yes,
Come on, y'all better be on this presentation tonight. Y'all better get this webinar information. Okay, so this is what I feel like is really important. Everybody doesn't want a loan. Everybody's not going to apply for a loan, but it is money out here. And I know there's money out here, and I have clients that have gone after this money. And let me tell you, because their paperwork was in order, right? That made their paperwork. And they've been able to get thousands of dollars in because of all of the different things. Now, this is what I've just experienced over this time of COVID, is that people don't seem to want to search for anything. They seem to just want people to just tell them everything, or they just want money to fall from the sky. And I would say that you need to be active online to be able to start following accounts and to be able to just see what you can get. So I want to give you a tip before I ask La-Tasha this next question. The tip that I have for you is I want you to go to Google Alerts, and I want you to set up alerts for things like grants, things like loans, women-owned businesses, women's grants, men's grant. I mean, whatever it is that you're looking for, that you're trying to search for, go to Google Alerts and set these things up. Because people say to me, well, how do you find out about these things all the time? And I don't have time every day to look for every little thing that comes up, but I have these alerts set up. And then when there is a grant, even if it's not in the state, but there are a lot of things that are nationwide, then it helps me to be able to find things and then easily disseminate information to people. So sometimes they think I'm like a magic 8 ball or a little genie and I just know where everything is. No, I don't know where everything is, but I know how to find a lot of things. And then what's happened is when I tell people about things, you have got to act. So I'm always a person that's of action. So if you see that there's a grant application out there and you could possibly get some money, it is going to have a deadline, which means that you need to have your paperwork together. You need to fill out whatever it is, give the people what they want, literally, so that this way, hopefully, they can make a decision to be able to give you the funding that you're asking for, right? So now, my question to you is, can you tell these great people that are listening to this evening, today, whenever you're going to watch it, because some people may watch it on the replay, some people may hear it on the podcast. Tell them a couple of places that they can find some either grants or anything where there may be some funding that might be available to their business if they are in this situation and they need funding.
All right, so great. So now I'm going to tell you to first start with what I call the 3 F's: family, friends, and friendly people. Okay? I'm going to say that again: family, friends, and friendly people. And let me say why. Because, first of all, typically you will be able to access more without the limitations. And like you said, if you're not, really want to get a loan at this time, then this is the great opportunity. Now, I said family, friends, and then the last one was friendly people. So let me tell you about friendly people and who I classify as friendly people. There are several different crowdfunding platforms that are out here.
Mhm.
Crowdfunding is your network of friendly people, people who want to invest in something. Now, you've got to do some work, right? So you've got to put a great marketing campaign. You got to join the right platform. You know, you've got to do something so that they will know, and they've got to have a compelling argument of why you want them to invest in you. But guess what? A lot of people have funded their businesses through friendly people.
Mhm.
So there are several different crowdfunding platforms. So for women, there's I Fund Women. There's Kickstarter. There's Indiegogo, You Caring. I mean, the list can go on and on and on. So that's the first level that I want you to think about. The next level is I want you to also think about your local community. So local governments currently have grant or funding opportunities for business. Now, keep in mind that this funding may be specific for, like right now, I know that some organizations are offering funding for PPE items. So some funding may be to help you with your rent. So it may be rent reimbursement for your business. It may be something very specific. So you want to know and read the fine lines. So of course, so the next level is local governments, because your local governments want your business to stay in your area and in your community. The next level is state. So looking at what state agencies may have. And so they also have received dollars, and some of those dollars are loans, some of them are grant dollars. In North Carolina, the Department of Commerce have some new grant dollars that are specifically for specific industries, but also some payroll assistance to help with that as well. So there, once again, I told you there's very specific and niche. Then we get to the federal level. We're talking the Small Business Administration. We're talking other federal agencies that have funding and funding available. And then I don't want you to forget this one, corporate corporations. So corporations is huge, especially now. And so I'm gonna just go ahead and say this. While we're in Black Lives Matter, Black businesses matter. So they
Yes.
are putting money to really invest in communities. So there's organizations like LISC, LISC,
Mhm.
organizations like American Express, PayPal. I mean, these corporations, Lowe's Home Improvement is have funds available for PPE items or other things. So keep in mind that you've got to be very intentional and you've got to be strategic, but the funding is out there. And then I know we talked about nonprofits a little bit, so I'll just throw, grants.gov is a great resource for nonprofits. I don't know if there's anybody have nonprofits or for-profits, but grants.gov for nonprofits is a great resource for them as well. And then don't forget your foundations. There are a lot of foundations. I can't even name them all, but there are a number of foundations that are really investing into the community. So you want to be able to know who's investing in the type of business that you have, and then be able to access those funds.
Yeah, I love that. Now, what I would say is you can look up different foundations based on whatever state you're in. And if you do something along those lines, then what I would suggest for everybody is to sign up for the emails that people send out, because that's one way that they're
Oh
going to
yeah.
tell you what's happening and they're going to release that information. Oftentimes with nonprofits also, they will actually have information events where then
Mhm.
you can find out the best practices for going ahead in order to try to get a grant. And in addition to that, I wanted to mention, you definitely mentioned the Lowe's, but there is, if you've been paying attention, New Voices Family.
Yes.
They right now have a $100,000 pitch competition, and the deadline for that is October 10th in order to enter. Now, New Voices is the one that was founded by Dennis Richelieu, who ended up buying Essence Magazine, who used to own Shea Moisture. So they have been consistently, I know I had to give you all of that. So mama, baby, daddy, cousin, sisters was doing such and such, right? Okay, but that's the whole lineage there, right? Now, the thing about this, as far as New Voices, they have consistently, and I can say through this whole time, as far as COVID, not only given out money, but also taking the time to create They have basically kind of like an incubator, which they call their accelerator, and they've been doing classes consistently that have been free. So there is opportunities for people, and I want you to understand that sometimes when you need to get this money, you need to sit down and do what you're doing tonight and take a class. You need to sit down and find out something, because people aren't just doing these things just to do them. Like, we're here to give you the information. Now, I also want to say that sometimes in order for you to get to the money and make those money moves, you do need to spend money. We can't expect, as far as businesses, that we don't spend any money at all. And I have seen some of the types of loan applications and things like that where they actually have a fee where for you to fill out, like, some type of origination fee or something, in order for you to then apply for it. So don't be afraid, as long as you find out that it's a reputable business, of course, to spend a little bit of money in order to get the help that you need. And that could be that you get it from a coach. If you're getting it from a mentor typically you're not paying, but what you are doing is you're taking the time to invest in your business to get the knowledge that you need so that you can make the best move for your money. Now, another thing that I did want to mention, in that same vein, Google also has digital coaches, okay? Free. They do information every month. And let me tell you this, the digital coaches are all minority-owned business people. So when you're looking at this and you're saying, okay, we have the digital coaches, the thing about this is they have some things that are in Spanish. So you have the Hispanic population. I mean, you have every population that is considered a minority that is actually training you, which does what? It talks to you in your own language. And I think that oftentimes, one of the things that I would say that I think we do a good job of is, especially with the Black Biz Group, with my company, Lady Bizness, with La-Tasha with Infinity Bridges, we want to talk to you in a language that you understand. Because if you understand it, you'll probably listen. You'll more than likely do the things, and you'll have more success. And sometimes people want to talk to you way up here, and it's like, I can't even see what's going on up there. I'm not there yet. So you need somebody that can talk to you right here where you're at, and then also not necessarily belittle you or make you feel like you can't ask a question. So I challenge you right now to ask a question. Go ahead into the question section, type in some questions if you have any questions for La-Tasha, so that this way she can answer them. And I also wanted you, because I know you gave me a list, but there were some other things, because you mentioned Fearless Fund, and then you sent me something about Collab Capital. And
Collab
then
Capital.
Okay, so can you give us a little bit about that?
Sure. So, okay. So first and foremost, so Fearless Fund is a $20 million equity investment fund. So first of all, minority owned and operated by a woman. Unheard of. Okay, so just let me say, talking about breaking the glass ceiling, they are breaking the glass ceiling. And just FYI, if you look at Fearless Fund, if you remember Rudy from the Cosbys, I know you probably be like, what? That's back in the day. Yes, Rudy from the Cosbys, all grown up. She is a part of the Fearless Fund. So, but this is for women, and so this is another great funding opportunity. The second one is Collab Capital, which is for minority-based businesses. So once again, these are national platforms that I'm talking about. And then the last one, when Chisa was talking about, being able to access and being able to take advantage of not only just money, but systems and opportunities. So there's a partnership between AEO, American Express, and Fifth Third Bank, and they created what they call the Main Street Rise program. And so that's that AEO Main Street Rise. And what that is access to several different software platforms, free. Okay. So did I say that again? Access to several different platforms, free. So they actually have access to mentors and entrepreneurs, access to financial software. There's access to GoDaddy, marketing tools and resources. I mean, once you sign in, you have all of those great opportunities at your disposal. Now, let me tell you, they invested probably about $1.2 million in this. So why not take advantage? So it may not be direct dollars into your company, but guess what? Those are dollars saved. So if you can save $1 and still get access to the software and the tools and be able to improve your efficiency and effectiveness of the business, guess what? That is a money move.
Oof, okay, come on. So what I did was I typed those things into the chat for everybody so that this way you can go ahead and you can check those out. And another question that I had, because one of the companies that you mentioned, I have clients who have worked specifically with I Fund Women. Now, let me just shout them out because we're
Yes.
working with people, they're doing great things. So I want to shout out Indulge Catering, which is based in Durham, North Carolina. And Indulge Catering was
Yes,
the
love them.
recipient, you love them, right? Was the recipient of the Caress and I Fund Women grant. So they received $2,500 from them, and then they're still raising in order to be able to help. They have a line of sauces and a line of spices. And so their goal is to raise $50,000. Now, thus far, since we started the campaign, we've probably raised a little bit over, like close to 6,000, right? And so their goal is to get to the next milestone, which is to get to 10,000. Now, what's great about iFund Women is they do provide coaches to be able to help you, similar to what you're talking about with the American Express initiative. And they also provide marketing. So little things that you probably don't think of that are a money move are being able to leverage. Okay, so this is where I want you to see leverage somebody else's platform in order to let people know about your business. So they were able to take over the I Fund Women platform. Okay, they were able to talk with the founder of I Fund Women, who is helping other people get money. They were able to then reach more people, which then helped them to get more funding into their business. And if you were looking for one where they're going to give you the money minus a small little fee, the great thing about I Fund Women is once you start raising money on that capital, they just go ahead and they continually deposit. So
Yep.
similar to, but definitely not the same. And I'm going to give you another one. But if you were using something like a regular crowdfunding campaign, usually what you do is you have a threshold of a certain amount of days. Let's say 30 days to raise, let's say $5,000. And if you raise that 5,000, then they usually give it to you. If you raise less, then they'll give you whatever you raise. And it depends on the platform, because some of them you have to raise the whole entire thing before they give you the money, right? But I Fund Women will make regular deposits based on when people are actually giving you funding. And then what they do is they let the people who have already given you funding know that you're still doing well, and they send out emails on a regular basis. And then they use their social media platforms to also tell people about your business. So they are one that is super proactive. And I would suggest that if you have a woman-owned business, and it doesn't matter what the race is, but just a woman-owned business or a business that identifies as a woman, to definitely check out I Fund Women. They're not paying me or anything, but if they want to give a girl a grant, I'll take it, okay?
I
But
agree.
it is a platform that, for me, when just seeing the inner workings of it, from working from my perspective with a client, that has been something that's been really great in order for them to achieve things. So they've been able to then file for trademarks. They've been able to make new logos. They've been able to update their systems. And it all makes a difference, because every dollar really does count when we're talking about these money moves. So I wanted to shout that out, because that was one that you said that I felt like was really, really great. And if we had one to hone in on, then okay. Now, we are very women centric. We have given the women everything, right? But if there are, and you know what, let me check the attendees just to see. There might be a gentleman on.
That's right. We love the men. We're not.
Oh, you know what? It's no gentleman on. Like, I mean, based on the names that I see of everybody that's on, it's very women centric, which is great, right? So when we're looking at this, would you tell a woman in business something different than you would tell a man in business if they were going after what they're doing for their money moves?
I sure would. So first and foremost, ask for what you want.
I need to go get my fan.
Because as women, we have a tendency to kind of only go for what you really need, which is only the minimum. Like, well, if I could just get this, I could then kind of maneuver. Like we already know how to make it work. We, from Big Mama back in the day. However, so women, we always kind of just ask for a little bit. So I want you to go for the gusto, because what I have found is men, no matter the race, ethnicity, a man will ask for 10 times what they want. And then now somebody they may give a little bit, but they're going to go high. And what I want you to do is, women have a tendency to go low and then kind of just be like, well, if they just give me this little bit, I'll kind of deal with the corns and the peanuts. Look, we in a corn shortage. Ain't no need of getting looking for the coins. Go for the dollars. Go for the money move. I'm gonna use our topic. Go for the money moves. Okay. So really look for what you need and go for it. Go for it. I'm gonna tell y'all this last thing. So this year I went all in on my business, and I said I was going to bet on me no matter what. So when I went all in, I was like, okay, I need this, this, and this. And it has worked out. So guess what? Bet on yourself and go all in. And when you do that, then you're going to be able to build successful business. But don't shy away from what you really need and negotiate. I mean, go in there with the woman power that we have and negotiate, but don't, just kind of settle and be like, well, if they give me this little bit right here, I can kind of preserve it and make it work. No, ask for what you really need.
Now, I love that. And I know when I do my bookkeeping class, I tell people, because I don't think, and so I need you to give me some oomph on this. Sometimes people do not know what it actually costs to run their business. And if you don't know what it costs to run your business, then you might be asking for a number that's a little bit too low. So let me just give you a quick example. I'm working with a client, and the client is talking about, how much they charge. And the client has probably 105 clients, okay? So they have a bunch of people. But the thing is, what you're supposed to do is pay taxes on an estimated basis, right? And so quarterly, you're supposed to pay taxes. He hasn't been charging his people any taxes on that. So whenever, and I'm just giving you this to kind of break it down. So because of that, then what's happening is, and when I broke it down to him, it made sense. And I said, so every time that you're paying estimated taxes, you're actually taking money out of your pocket because your people were supposed to pay you taxes so you could take that money and do with it. So I want you, if you can give us some information, because I know that that's a little tidbit and that's a great example. But when we look at things like our PayPal and we look at our Square, Clover, Stripe, all of those things, they all take a fee out, which is typically around 2.75%. So we're not getting all of our money because we're businesses. So what is I don't want to say workaround, but what is the thing that you can give advice on for something like that? Because if I tell you my services is $500 and you give me 500, I'm not going to get that whole 500 because they're going to take that processing fee out. And a lot of people don't think about little things like that when it comes to getting their money.
So that's so good. Okay, that's right on point, because I can't even tell you. All I can do is snap. But no, pricing. So in addition to understanding your price, so we have what we call, you've got to do a cost of goods, or a cost of service, which is really understanding what does it cost you to do business. So I was speaking with someone last week, and I said to them, by the time they finished telling me all of this stuff, and we was going down the cost of goods and that they were doing, I said, well, people just paying you just to order for them. And they was like, no, I'm in business. I was like, no, you're not in business, because you're not making a profit. Because by the time you get your shipping, so by the time you get your packaging, by the time you do, all these things. And then she was like, oh, and I want to add this extra little thing, and that's going to cost a little bit more. And I said, okay, so you just paying them just to order? That's because you're not making anything. And they was like, well, oh yeah. And I said, no, look at all those costs. So you've got to detail all of those costs, and then really do go back and look at your pricing. And then you make the compelling marketing offer of why they still need to pay more. So instead of that $500 for your cost of services, it may be $550, because guess what? You're now covering all of those other fees that are coming out of it.
That's excellent. That's excellent. Now we do have another question, and I'm going to pronounce this, and I think I'm going to do it correctly. So, if I mess up anybody's name, my name is Chisa. Okay, Chisa, just like Lisa, but a CH in the front. So I like people to say my name correctly. So I try to say people's names correctly. So Quintonia is asking. She said it's such good information, right? I think I said it. Did I say it right?
You said it right.
Well, Quintonia is asking, she said, it's great information. How do you find out how much to charge for your business? And that is a big thing that people just seem to not know. Now, my answer for that is going to be, what do you want to make? Like, that's always my answer, because just because somebody else is charging a certain price doesn't mean that you have to charge the industry average. It doesn't mean that you have to charge what they charge because they're your competition. It doesn't mean that you even have to charge what everybody else is in the area. And you also need to consider that your costs go up right now. So what would be your answer for that, as how does a person figure out what to charge? Because I usually say, what do you want to make? And then we can kind of work from there. But what do you think?
I agree with that as well. So the other thing too is I ask them, what does it cost? So what does it really cost you for even that product? So and really, what is that direct cost? And then add, what percentage of profit do you want to make
That markup.
after that? Yeah, what's that markup? So let's just say if I wanted to make this lip gloss, since I have this lip gloss right here. So what does it cost me with the labeling and the packaging and the shipping and all of that? What does it really cost me? What's my wholesale cost? And then I gotta then say, what markup do I want to do? Do I want to have a 25% profit margin, a 50% profit margin, a 75, or whatever? And then from whatever that price is, my sales price needs to be the cost plus that markup. And then so that I know that I have my profit.
Yeah. I think that is an important thing. They do have calculators online where you can actually go type that stuff in.
Excel. I just put it in Excel.
Yeah, and I have searched for them online. You can just search for a cost of goods calculator. You can search for a pricing calculator. You can find those things online, and then they'll let you type in that thing to come up with the answer. So you can find those, and that's really, really great, especially for my product-driven people. And I am a product-driven person on certain levels, but for the most part, I look at it like this: I am the product. And I know that I cannot work for, and we're not trying to be cocky or anything, but I cannot work for a certain amount because it is not going to do what it needs to do, if that makes sense. So when you look at this, I've had people say, oh, that's too much. And I'm like, okay, all right. And then I've had people say, oh, for real, that's all it is. And then I'm thinking, well, dang, maybe I didn't charge enough, right? But this is my thing. I charge what I feel like I want to charge. And will that price go up at some point in time? I'm sure that it will. And I think that it's reasonable for you to say, and I usually use 10%, to go up at least 10% each year, because guess what? You've gotten that much better. You're that much more professional. You know that much more, and you have more connections and skill set, and you can do things faster. And I need to say this too, because I need to ask you this question. Antoinette said you get what you pay for. You definitely do, okay? You definitely do. But when we talk about money moves, I feel like a lot of the things, and this is just my life, and I know it's your life too, the connections that we make, and I'm sure you hear this all the time, it's not, it's not who you know, but this is my thing. I don't think that it's like I need to know specific certain people, but who knows me? Who's willing to vouch for me and say, yeah, you should definitely do it. She's great. You should do such and such, right? So it's not just about me knowing certain people, but who knows me that can vouch, that can say, oh, she's definitely worth it. Yeah, if you give her the money, she's definitely going to make it back. She'll triple her worth, that kind of thing. So what would be some of the connections, those points And that whole network that you would say, if a person is looking to increase, that they need to kind of make along the way, where would those connections come in for people? Because they could be anywhere in the world, but there would be probably some commonalities and go to these types of things so that people can get that network.
All right, so great question. And I actually have an acronym that I use for these people. I call them my bails team. So if you think about a bail bondsman, B-A-I-L, a bail bondsman will bail you out if you got into any kind of legal trouble, right? Or I shouldn't say legal, but some other criminal issues, right? So in a business, it's a criminal activity, but in a business, you also need your bail team as well. And so the B is your banker.
Okay.
Right. So you need to have a relationship with the banker, because that banker is going to also tell you about different products they have, about whether it's loan products, whether it's credit card products, whether it's merchant services. Some banks or financial institutions also do insurance, securities. I mean, the endless of financial products, but they will be able to, if you have that good relationship, that banker is going to be able to help that business.
Okay.
The A is your accountant, right? So being able to have, and whether it's a CPA, a bookkeeper, or a professional, but some professional accountant. That professional accountant is going to keep you out of tax trouble. They're going to give you the right advice to be able to help you understand that business. The I, an insurance agent. You need to make sure you have the right insurance for your business. So that person is going to really make sure, if you get 3 or more, you're going to need workers' comp. If at some point you may want to do health insurance, you're going to need general liability. If you're in the medical field, you may need malpractice or errors in omission. I mean, there's so many types of insurances. I can't go on, but, so you need a really good business insurance agent. The L, B-A-I-L. So the L is for a lawyer. You need a good legal team or legal advice. So that's an attorney or a lawyer, but you need someone, especially if it's contracts, if it's reviewing, or just making sure that you're anything legal so you would need that person and part of your network. And then the S is service providers, right? So, or subject matter experts, as Chisa and I are, but people that really can tell you how to navigate your business, to put a strategy together, and not just kind of, to really give you to the core, like, hey, this is your roadmap. This is going to help, and then really help you really take it to the next level and really push you. Because you don't want somebody just going to tell you the same thing you already thinking. You want somebody that's going to push you. And I'll give a great example. Chisa and I have worked together. I had a consultation with Chisa. I know enough about marketing to be dangerous, but not enough to really be effective. And so I had my own consultation with Chisa, and she gave me so many nuggets and things that need to do. But guess what? It was beneficial. So don't think that we don't need somebody, or sometimes we need to go to the expert. So those are, so you need, I call it the business bail team. So B-A-I-L-S, bails.
I love that. I never even thought about using that acronym. And the only one you used it is services. So I would say bail them, because I use the M for the marketing person. So I use M because I think that with most of the businesses, they fail because somebody doesn't know who they are. And that's it. And I tell people, so I'm going to tell you guys the same thing. You have to tell people how great you are, or they'll never know. And so when people feel like it's too much, that's when it's just getting to be enough. So for me, we like to look good, and we like to feel good. We like to do good, and we like to be good. And for us to be able to do those things, that means that we need that foundation. And a lot of the stress that a lot of people have, especially with businesses, is it's not making enough money. I know what that stress feels like. I never want to feel that again. Okay. Right. Which means that you always have to be consistently looking for the thing that is going to take you to another level. And if that another level is lateral, it could still be lateral, because maybe you want to change what you're doing in your business. But if that level is going up, it is going to require a different you, because the skill set that you had there got you to this level, but it might not take you to the next level, which is why you might need to hire somebody else in order to get there. So like, for instance, one of our partners this evening, as far as Chandra Gore Consulting, Chandra is a publicist, okay? I am great at marketing. Not to say that I couldn't be a good publicist if I really, really put the effort and interest behind it,
Right.
but the publicist is the person that goes out and tells everybody else how great you are, and that they do that for you. So us working together is one of those things where I'm just like, it is worth paying for a service for somebody else to toot your own horn for you. It's worth paying for the marketing person to get them to help you put that plan together. It's worth paying for the financial person to get that whole foundation together. And so you just need to think about these things when you're talking about business, because we want you to make those money moves. And we don't listen. When you said it's a coin shortage, girl, I was like, first of all, I just kept laughing. I didn't want to laugh really loud, but it literally is a coin shortage, right? So when she said go after those dollars, I'm just like, yes, because they're not even trying to give you coins back at the store. That was like phenomenal. I just want you to know that was like my favorite thing of the night. She was like, girl, it's a coin shortage, so stop going after coins. But what would you want to leave people with? Because one thing that we do, anything that I do, we start on time and we stop on time. We are not going to talk y'all to death and have y'all out here all night. We're going to wrap up. And if anybody has a final question, feel free to go ahead and ask that question. Again, just to let you know, this is recorded, so it will be on our social media platforms. It will also be recorded in the form audibly, so that this way you can hear it as a podcast. And we're going to definitely share these nuggets with you. And we have something special for you. But what do you want to leave people with?
You know what? So the title of today was Money Moves. So what I want to encourage everyone is to make money move. So whatever that is for you. So that may mean, and I got this book. Look, it says, let that debt go. So
Ooh.
you can't make money moves in debt. And so what I want you to do is, and I mean like debt that's not going to do you any good. There's some debt that's really good, but I want you to make the move and make the choice to really make your money work for you. Like I'm working on in 2021 to have sleep money. While I'm asleep, I want money to keep on making. So that's my money move that I'm working on right now. But
Come on,
it
sweet
may be
buddy.
something different for you. So whatever it is, I want you to set the plan and then start on the road to making that money work. That's
I
my
love that.
final
So
thought.
I'm gonna leave you with mine, because I love yours. She said she wants sleep money. I want look at me money. I want my money to be in the account like this. And then I want it to tell me where it wants to go. Okay. Because I think that it's one of those things to have that confidence in yourself, because if you have it, you can then move it where it needs to go, right? So I wanted to be sitting there like, hey, what's up? Where we going next, right? And then I can let it tell me where it wants to go next. I love that. All right, so guys, on here this evening, we want you to let you know we're gonna have an upcoming event. Okay, so we talked about money moves, but La-Tasha is going to come back, and this one is going to be paid, right? It is going to be called Money Makers. She's going to give you details about different things that you can do for the holidays and going into 2021 that are a lot more specific. And then I'll, come in and throw in a couple of things. I have a resource guide that you can get with that as well. So this will go on sale on Friday this week, okay? So you'll have from this Friday until Friday, November 20th to be able to make the purchase. And we're not charging $1 million, okay? But it will go on sale. So if you want to make sure that this way you get that information, what we're gonna do is send it out to everybody that is registered. But please also make sure that you tell people about what you experienced here this evening, because these types of conversations where they are really candid and we really get down to the meat and potatoes of things are the things that I think will help then catapult your business. So we have other people that we'll be talking to from different areas of business, but money is always one of those things that is necessary, okay, in order for your business to grow. So the other thing is, don't forget, list your Black business at theblackbizgroup.com, because that will help us to be able to let other people see your business. And we post on our Facebook page, we post on our Instagram on a regular basis. businesses. What we do when we get to that page is we let you know about upcoming events. So things like this, resources that are out there. And also we talk about other events that we're not hosting, but we think that you would be interested in as a Black-owned business. Now, even if you're not a Black-owned business, you can always come back and you can get the business, because we're always going to give it to you and make sure that this way is something that's tangible. Now, my tagline is give it to the people. So I'd like to ask you guys this evening, do you think we gave it to the people? And I hope you've thoroughly enjoyed this evening. Feel free to send feedback to us, because you are going to get emails that are going to let you know that information. Shanita said, thank you both. She really appreciated this. So for us, this is a love for what we do, right? And then we got a yes. Thank you, Queen, over there too, okay? So this is a love for what we do, but let me also tell you something. When we put something out there that has a price tag to it, let me tell you, if we gave you all of this for free, it is worth you paying for. So we want to create value in your business, and that means sometimes you may have to exchange a little dollars. But please list your Black business at theblackbizgroup.com, and we're getting a whole bunch of thank yous and all of the rest, and great info and everything from everybody. So I would like to bid you adieu. La-Tasha, you want to wave to the people? At the end of all of our webinars, I always like to tell people, thank you for showing up and showing out, and make sure that you continue to give it to the people. Bye, guys.